The vet looked at the injured horse and shook his head. "It will never compete again," he said. Everyone believed it was over. But no one noticed the fire still burning in the horse's eyes. What happened next shocked everyone and became a story no one would ever forget. From the day Spirit was born, there was something special about him. He was stronger than the other young horses. His legs were steady, and his movements were smooth and full of energy. When he ran across the open field, he moved with speed and confidence that caught everyone's attention. But Spirit was not alone. Emma had raised him since he was very young. She fed him, cared for him, and stayed beside him every day. Spirit trusted her completely. Whenever she called his name, he came to her without hesitation. Emma believed Spirit was meant for something greater. Every morning, she trained him. They ran together across the wide land, building strength and trust. Spirit loved to run. It was more than movement. It was freedom. It was purpose. Emma dreamed of entering him into a real competition one day. She believed he could do it. And deep inside, Spirit carried that same dream. No one knew the challenges that were waiting ahead. But Spirit was ready to face whatever came next. Spirit was not just a horse to Emma. He was her closest companion. From the beginning, they had shared something rare. Emma did not train Spirit with force. She trained him with patience. She spoke to him gently, and Spirit listened. He trusted her voice more than anything else. When Emma walked into the field, Spirit would lift his head and look at her immediately. He would walk toward her calmly, as if he had been waiting only for her. He allowed no one else to come close the way he allowed Emma. They understood each other without words. When Emma felt sad, Spirit stayed beside her. When Spirit felt unsure, Emma comforted him. Their connection grew stronger with each passing day. Emma believed in him when no one else noticed him. And Spirit believed in her completely. Together, they trained under the open sky, building strength and confidence. Emma knew Spirit had something special inside him. And Spirit knew Emma would never leave his side. Their bond was unbreakable. One afternoon, Emma took Spirit out for training as usual. The sky was clear, and the air was calm. Spirit moved with confidence, his powerful legs carrying him smoothly across the field. Emma watched him with pride. He was improving every day. "Just one more run," she said softly. Spirit responded immediately, pushing forward with speed. But then, something went wrong. As Spirit ran across a rough part of the ground, his front leg suddenly slipped. His body lost balance, and before Emma could react, he fell hard onto the dirt. The sound was heavy and frightening. "Spirit!" Emma cried, running toward him. Spirit struggled to stand, but he could not. His leg trembled beneath him, unable to carry his weight. Fear filled his eyes. Emma's heart raced. She gently placed her hand on his neck, trying to calm him. "It's okay," she whispered, though her voice shook. Spirit tried again to stand, but the pain was too strong. Emma knew something was terribly wrong. In that moment, fear replaced hope. Everything they had worked for suddenly felt uncertain. Emma stayed beside Spirit until the veterinarian arrived. Spirit lay on the ground, breathing heavily. His leg remained still, and every small movement showed his pain. Emma gently stroked his neck, trying to comfort him, but fear filled her heart. The veterinarian examined Spirit carefully. He touched the injured leg, watching Spirit's reaction. Spirit flinched in pain. The veterinarian's face grew serious. He stood up slowly and looked at Emma. "This is a serious injury," he said quietly. Emma's chest tightened. "Will he recover?" she asked, her voice filled with hope. The veterinarian hesitated. "He may recover enough to walk," he said. "But he will never compete again." The words felt heavy. Emma could not speak. Her dream was breaking in front of her. Spirit looked at her, his eyes calm but tired. He did not understand the words. But he could feel her pain. Emma realized nothing would ever be the same again. Or so they believed. The days that followed were filled with silence. Spirit no longer ran across the field. He stayed inside the small stable, resting on weak legs that once carried him with pride. His movements were slow, careful, and filled with hesitation. Emma visited him every day. She brought him food and fresh water, but Spirit was not the same. He no longer showed excitement when she arrived. He kept his head low, his eyes quiet and distant. It was as if he had lost something deep inside. Emma felt the pain with him. She sat beside him for hours, gently brushing his fur and speaking softly. She tried to stay strong, but inside, her heart was breaking. She remembered the veterinarian's words. He will never compete again. The dream they had shared felt gone. But Emma could still see something in Spirit's eyes. It was faint, but it was there. A small spark. A spark that refused to disappear. Emma could not accept the veterinarian's words. Every time she looked at Spirit, she saw more than his injury. She saw his strength. She saw the heart that had never failed her. She refused to believe it was over. One morning, she made a decision. She would help him recover. She began spending even more time beside him. She cleaned his stall, brought him the best food she could find, and stayed close so he would never feel alone. She spoke to him gently, reminding him that he was still strong. "It's not over," she whispered. At first, Spirit barely responded. But Emma did not stop. Each day, she encouraged him to stand for a few moments. She stayed beside him, ready to support him if he fell. Slowly, Spirit began to try. The progress was small, but it was real. Spirit lifted his head more often. His eyes showed awareness again. He listened when Emma spoke. Emma knew the road ahead would be difficult. But she also knew one truth. As long as Spirit had the will to try, she would never give up on him. Days turned into weeks, and small changes began to appear. At first, Spirit could only stand for a few seconds. His injured leg trembled beneath him, and Emma stayed close, ready to help. She spoke to him calmly, encouraging him to stay strong. "You can do this," she whispered. Spirit listened. Each day, he tried again. His movements were slow and careful, but he refused to stop. He began taking small steps inside the stable. One step. Then another. Emma watched with hope growing inside her chest. The pain was still there, but Spirit was fighting. Emma brought him outside for fresh air. The sunlight touched his fur, and for the first time since the accident, Spirit lifted his head with confidence. He looked across the open field where he once ran freely. He remembered. He wanted to run again. Emma saw it in his eyes. His body was still healing, but his spirit was stronger than ever. With patience, care, and trust, Spirit was slowly finding his strength again. And Emma knew this was only the beginning. One quiet morning, Emma led Spirit outside as she had done many times before. The field was calm, and the air was fresh. Spirit stood beside her, looking across the wide land. His ears moved forward, alert and focused. Emma noticed something different. Spirit stepped forward on his own. His injured leg was steady. He took another step. Then another. Emma watched closely, her heart beating faster. Spirit began to walk farther than he ever had since the accident. His movements were careful, but there was confidence in them. He was no longer afraid. Then suddenly, Spirit did something unexpected. He began to run. It was not fast. It was not perfect. But it was real. Emma froze, unable to believe what she was seeing. Spirit moved across the field, his body strong, his eyes full of determination. He was not running because he was told to. He was running because he chose to. Emma felt tears fill her eyes. The veterinarian had said this would never happen. But Spirit was proving something powerful. His body had been injured, but his spirit had never been broken. Months passed, and Spirit continued to grow stronger. He was no longer the weak and injured horse people remembered. His steps were steady, and his confidence had returned. Emma watched him closely every day, still careful, still protective. One morning, Emma made a decision she had once believed was impossible. She entered Spirit into a small local competition. Many people were surprised. Some remembered the accident. Others had heard the veterinarian's words. They whispered quietly, doubting Spirit's ability to compete again. Emma heard them. But she did not listen. She trusted Spirit. On the day of the competition, Spirit stood beside her, calm and focused. The other horses looked strong and experienced. The crowd watched closely, unsure of what would happen. Emma gently placed her hand on Spirit's neck. "You're ready," she whispered. Spirit stepped forward into the field. There was no fear in his eyes, only determination. This was the moment they had waited for. Not to prove something to others, but to prove something to themselves. The signal was given, and Spirit began to run. The crowd watched in silence. At first, he moved carefully, but with each step, his speed increased. His body moved with strength and confidence. The same horse they believed was finished was now running with purpose. Emma watched with tears in her eyes. Spirit was not just competing. He was proving something greater. He crossed the finish line with power, leaving the crowd in shock. No one laughed. No one doubted him anymore. The veterinarian stood in silence, unable to believe it. Spirit had done the impossible. He had proven everyone wrong. That day, Spirit showed the world something they had failed to see. His strength was never gone. It was waiting for a chance to rise again. Emma stood beside him, her hand resting gently on his neck. They had faced doubt, pain, and fear together. But they never gave up. Sometimes, limits exist only in the minds of others. Because when belief is stronger than fear, even the impossible can become real.